Hi, my name is Emma Sellers, and I have the great privilege to serve as Director of Multicultural Affairs here. First of all, just thanks for inviting me to be a part of this. I think that it is phenomenal that we have a faculty on campus who are committed to making sure that they are teaching through an equity lens, that they are taking into consideration the trauma, the hardships of the last few months for all of us, but particularly for our students, even more so, particularly students from underrepresented populations. So when Devin and I talked kind of about, the direction of these workshops and the sessions, I wanted to make sure that I was providing as much as I could on this topic of looking at COVID-19, looking at some of the social unrest and how that's going to affect the performance of students, particularly again students of color and underrepresented populations in the classroom. So I wanted to reach out to our counselor, Jenny Smith. So she was very excited to be a part of this, and I'm just very grateful for her because what she presents as far as some of the mental health concerns that we might have with our students exactly mirror and support really the best practices for how do you teach students during this time of trauma. So what you'll see on this video is Jenny Smith for a few minutes, and then I'll come on with just again some best practices that really just echo what some of the mental health concerns are that we might have for our students and how that might play out in the classroom. And then we'll wrap up with a little bit of a conversation or TED Talk, type thing that I think will help kind of pull all this together. So again, just thanks for inviting me to be a part of this, and I just look forward to what we can do together in the fall to best support our students from all populations, but again, especially those who are most affected by the events of the past few months. So look forward to our time together here today and working with you this fall.
Hey everyone, this is Jenny Smith, Associate Dean of Students and Director of Counseling Services. I was asked to speak with all of our faculty about how you can best support our students during COVID and the ongoing pandemic that we're all experiencing, as well as the issues that we are currently seeing within our country around racism and the movement of Black Lives Matter. We're going to have a lot on our plates in the fall semester, and I think it's going to be incredibly important for each of us to be reaching out and supporting our students in every way that we can, both as faculty and as staff. And so today I'm just going to kind of talk to y'all a little bit about some considerations to think about when working with your students, expectations, because obviously we still want to hold our students accountable. They need to be getting their assignments done, getting their work done, but we also want to make sure that we are being mindful and supportive about some of the struggles that may be going on behind the scenes. So I'm just going to kind of go through some different things to keep in mind. After you watch this, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. If you have questions, just want to brainstorm, have further conversation around some of the ways that you can work with your students in the upcoming academic year. Email is the best way to reach me, and that is Jenny, Jenny .smith @lr.edu. I also have my phone rolled over to my cell, so you're welcome to give me a call. My office number is 828-328-7252. So some of the things I think that we need to be thinking about is that we're probably going to be dealing with a lot of students that are very distracted. They've got a lot of things going on outside of the classroom. And so, paying attention to that distractibility and kind of recognizing that is important. Some of the things that you may see your students are distracted about, fear and concern and worry about their health, about their loved one's health, about other family members or close ones, people that they have in their lives and how they may be impacted by COVID. You may, recognize or think about the fact that there's probably going to be a lot of students with financial worries. We have quite a few students on our campus that are coming from homes where there is not a lot of financial stability. I think a lot of times the assumption is made, since we're a private institution, that most of our students can financially afford to be here without any assistance, and that's just not the case. And so we have to think about the fact that we've had a lot of students move into the position of being a breadwinner, or taking on more of a role of bringing in income into their home. And we're going to see students probably living more at home or commuting as a result of that. So that's something to think about, is that work-life balance, and that there's probably going to be some distraction with our students in regard to finances and money and responsibilities that they may have within their household, or if they're on their own completely financially and having to be responsible for their finances. Some other things that you might see, obviously, are their relationships, just, not just about COVID, but also people have lots and lots of opinions right now about how this pandemic is being handled. Is it good? Is it bad? And being able to recognize that students have a lot of thoughts and feelings about that. And so that's going to create some distraction for them as well. Access to different types of services, whether that's healthcare, or mental health care, and then again, that financial piece, are also incredibly important for each of you to think about. Some of the other challenges that you might also see students coming and talking to you about is, caring for other family members, or maybe they've got younger siblings at home, and none of us really know what the school year is going to look like for elementary, middle, and high school age children coming up. And as a parent myself, I've got some apprehension around that. I have to work, my husband has to work, and we have an 11-year-old. And so what's that going to look like? And we've got non-traditional students. We've got young students who are parents, but we've also got students who have younger siblings. And so really taking that into account. Again, I definitely do not expect faculty or staff, for that matter, to let our students have a free-for-all. But I do think it's important to have conversation and get to know your students and learn more about them. Open that door for communication, because we just don't know what they may have going on behind closed doors. A lot of times, we're taught we have to separate our work life, which for our students, that is school, and our personal life. And we do. We have to have those boundaries in place. But sometimes, and I think especially today and especially now, those lines are pretty blurred. And so having that openness and that conversation, and even when you're struggling, and letting students know, hey, I'm having a bad day today, that allows for your students to see you as a human being too, because at the end of the day, that's what we all are. And we all desire for connection, and we all desire to be heard. And I think those are things to really, really keep in mind as we move forward into the 2020-2021 academic year, is listen, really hear what your students are telling you, and be open, because we just don't know what to the next. So again, please do not hesitate to let me know if you have questions, concerns, want to brainstorm. If you would love for, or like for me to come to your class or one of our staff in the counseling center to kind of facilitate these types of difficult or maybe emotionally charged kinds of conversations, we're happy to do that and happy to assist along